Welcome back to the Broto Fantasy Football Podcast presented by BrotoFantasy.com. I'm your host, Tim Petrop, with my brothers, the only two twins that give you double that fantasy goodness, Michael and Jason Petrop. Victory! We're taking you on a Viking quest right now with the Vikings in the NFC North. We're coming in on the close of this
hashtag Skull.
32 teams in 32 days.
So sad. Not quite.
Yeah, you're right.
We got 10 teams to go.
That's right.
11
we're in the last quarter,
including Team Skull.
It's actually thirds, Tim.
We're in the last third.
There's 10.
Let's start with the offensive outlook for the Vikings again. That's when we look at the coaches and the offensive coordinator and see what kind of effect they're going to have on the offense. The head coach, again, is Mike Zimmer. The offensive coordinator is Kevin Stefanski, who was promoted from within and has been with the Vikings since, guess when?
2012.
Jason?
10.
06.
I was going to guess 07.
Yeah, he's been there. Last year when he took over, it's hard to tell what his offense brings because they destroyed Miami, and then they destroyed Detroit, and then they got shut down by Chicago. So they destroyed two of the worst defenses in the league and got shut down by the best defense in the league.
Also underrated, brought in a new assistant head coach / offensive advisor, one of the best running minds in the league, Gary Kubiak.
Gary Kubiak, yes. So,
dude, I pounded the table for the Jets to sign Gary Kubiak the year he signed and won with the Broncos. So it hurt to see him win with the Broncos because I wanted the Jets to get him so bad.
We were pounding the table to get Peyton Manning.
As Jets fans, too, we're also pounding the table to get Kirk Cousins, who's the quarterback in our division breakdown. Luckily, we didn't. But he is now with the Vikings. Disappointing season for Kirk.
Baby Sam fell over, guys.
What? Oh, damn, we didn't even notice.
Disrespect to Baby Sam.
So much disrespect. Sorry.
All good.
Under fire all season behind the bad line. Does he bounce back? Because a lot of the excuses, he had a bad line. He got sacked the 10th most times in the league, and was behind guys like Matt Ryan. Like,
I don't buy much into that.
Yeah.
Dude, Kirk Cousins is who he is. If you look at his last 4 years, they're so similar. And there's volatility of people around him. There's volatility of his numbers a little bit. So his last 4 finishes have been quarterback 8, 5, 6, and 13, but all very similar numbers. His average stats are 4,465 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 picks, 111 rushing yards, 3.5 rushing touchdowns.
Really?
He always seems to
find
the
end zone on the ground. If
Those
you're getting Kirk Cousins,
you like that.
You're getting someone who's going to be a QB like 13. So that's what you need to decide when you're drafting. Do you want someone who's going to be a QB 13 or do you want someone who has a little bit more upside? I have him at 18 right now because I think that some people ahead of him have a little bit more upside. But I know that at the end of the year, he's going to be higher than 18.
You know, the thing about Kirk Cousins, he was a QB 14 in true throw value last season, so also pretty spot on with
in the middle.
13th overall ranking, is that he's a perennial low-end QB1 every single year, basically, and anyone drafting otherwise is just mistaken because you should know who you're drafting at this point when you draft Cousins. And now, if anything, the ceiling's lower with Gary Kubiak and Stefanski. With the second half last season, they ran the ball a lot more too.
Kirk Cousins is a good candidate to do something I like to do, something I'll talk about on our Wednesday pods. Look at two guys with different schedules and see if they come together. Big Ben is very good at home. Drew Brees is very good at home. If Kirk Cousins is home a lot when Drew Brees is on the road, and you could flip-flop them if their schedules are mismatching with home games. And then you have a great quarterback every week.
And then you got to ask yourself, though, do you want to take a spot for a quarterback like that?
Yes, that's one strategy.
Yeah. So, I mean,
in
the
deeper leagues.
But if you're rolling with just Kirk Cousins, there will be weeks where you'll be disappointed. Let's go to the wide receivers because Kirk Cousins did support 2 great fantasy wide receivers last year. One of them was Adam Thielen. Really hot start to start the year. A streak of how many games with 100 yards in a row? Like 10?
I believe it was 8 or 9.
So 8, 9, 10, something like that. One wide receiver, one finish, though, after week 10, which is the bye week. He had 7 in a row as a wide receiver 1 between weeks 2 and 8. You don't really see that. Wide receiver 3 for the rest of the weeks after week 10, except one game in Miami where he finishes the wide receiver 74 and fell off a cliff. Are you worried that defenses have figured out Adam Thielen, or is that just something that is the law of averages?
It was 8. I just checked. So 8 games in a row with over 100 yards. That was nuts the way he started last season. But
Michael had him. He knows.
yeah, it is a little concerning, obviously, to see a dip like that. But then you see that it also aligns with the change in philosophy. Like they got rid of DiFilippo. They brought in Stefanski. They started giving the balls to their running backs more. Kirk Cousins wasn't reaching nearly as many attempts as he was in the first half of the season.
The game against Miami where he was 74th overall. Both running backs who were on the Vikings at the time had ginormous games.
Yeah. But then, like, half those games, he saw 9 or more targets. So, I mean, he was still getting the targets, and he's still a great route runner, and he's still going to be the main slot guy in Minnesota. So, I don't think his ceiling, 1,373 yards last year. The year before that, people forget just how good Adam Thielen was 2 years ago, too. Because all these people who are expecting this huge dip in production from Adam Thielen, 1,277 yards in 2017. After that ridiculous stretch where he put up over 100 yards in 8 games, he only ended the season with less than 100 yards more than he had in all of 2017. So it's not like this is unprecedented production from Adam Thielen. So he's, in my opinion, he's very safe.
Yeah, back-to-back years of these numbers.
Very safe high-end wide receiver 2, possibly high-end wide receiver 1 if Diggs stays healthy. Then he's going to be battling for targets more. But yeah, I'm okay with taking Thielen as wide receiver 2.
You guys want to hear something kind of crazy?
Or wide receiver 1 if you went RB heavy.
Yeah.
Like if you pick 4th, Kamara, Connor, and then Thielen. There you go.
Yeah, he's a good wide receiver 2 if you already have a wide receiver. An excellent wide receiver 2. And a good wide receiver 1 if you went double running backs in the 3rd round.
So I literally just did this while Michael was talking, and I find it fascinating. In his last 8 games last year, Adam Thielen's numbers were 39 catches, 448 yards, and 3 touchdowns. If you double that, so let's extrapolate that to a 16-game season, that's 78 catches, 896 yards, and 6 touchdowns. His numbers in the first 8 games last year were basically that. 74 catches, 925 yards, 6 touchdowns. Off by 4 catches and 30 yards. His second half over 16 games, what he did in the first 8 last year.
So he was double as good in the first half.
Yeah. He was also 9th overall in true target value on the season.
What about his teammate? Now, Stefon Diggs is probably the more talented of the bunch, but widely inconsistent. And I had him last year on 2 rosters, so I know I lived with that inconsistency. 5 weeks as a wide receiver 1 last year. 5 weeks where he busted outside of the wide receiver 3. So he's feast or famine.
Yeah.
He's always has been. Diggs is the type of guy you want on your squad if you are also have Robert Woods. Like if you're on the term, you can get Diggs and Woods back to back. Like that's the kind of guy you need. You need that balance if you're a Diggs owner. It's a Diggs is the type of guy you want on your team if you went Andrew Luck in the 5th round, where you know you're getting 20 points at him every time. So like you need to know what type of team. It's very team dependent of whether or not you should have Stefon Diggs or not.
Yeah, and he went up 180 yards from 2017 to 2018, which is nice to see. And he was also 8th in the league in red zone receptions, which is nice to see. That's the thing about these receivers, too. Adam Thielen had 8 touchdowns last season after only 4 in 2017, and some people might say that's not sustainable, 8 touchdowns. But Adam Thielen was 4th in the league in red zone receptions. So both these guys were top 10 in the league in red zone receptions. They are the red zone weapons.
They went to them no matter what, no matter where, no matter how, no matter why.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, Diggs, the volatility obviously is painful some weeks, but that's what you're doing when you draft Diggs, you know that's what you're drafting, and you have to deal with it. And Diggs is a talented young receiver, so there's always a chance he steps up and becomes more consistent this season.
Speaking of hurting everywhere, Dalvin Cook in the running back preview, Look, talent is there, number 1. Workload is there when he plays, number 2. I don't think they've made it very clear that they want to give the ball to him in a Zeke type of way. Last year, he was limited in his touches when he came back, still got over 17 touches a game in a limited role, 40 catches in 10 games, 4.6 yards per carry. Now, with that being said, the dude is going in front of Todd Gurley right now in drafts. How you take Dalvin Cook over Todd Gurley, it boggles my mind.
It's all about upside and the injury risk if you're willing to take it. His last 4 games, I put it over 16, extrapolated it. It would have had 1,200 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, 440 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns.
And that's not crazy. And somewhere like 40 catches to do that.
Yeah, so that's very good. It just, are you willing to pay the price? One thing to note is that Gary Kubiak is the special assistant now, and Kubiak loves to run an outside zone run scheme. And according to PFF last year, Dalvin Cook was the 3rd most effective runner in that type of scheme. So this is a fit that's going to be very good for the Vikings.
Knowledge.
And Dalvin Cook. Also,
Except in games versus the Lions.
Gary Kubiak, as an offensive coordinator, he's never failed to have a top 12 rushing yard season. Doesn't matter who the runner is. It's all about health.
Yep.
I didn't necessarily love Dalvin Cook before today.
Yeah,
Before
we really got into the
upside
nitty-gritty.
really is
It
there.
really
Gary
is there.
Kubiak
It really
is the boon for this guy. But the thing is, Dalvin Cook, though, 4 games his rookie season, 11 games last season. Just like Joe Mixon, he should be a late second-round pick.
Yeah.
Not late first, not early second, because there's too much risk, and there's just too many question marks with him on the field. And like you were saying, they want him to be a Zeke-type role. 1 game last season, in 11 games, he had more than 16 carries.
He was on a pitch count.
So, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You don't know how much you're going to want to increase that this season. 1 game with over 16 carries is not tremendous.
Sure. Fine. But that's just carries. If
But,
you're
like,
looking
if
at
you wanna-
touches, he
if
had
you-
17 touches a game with the pitch count.
If you want to take a shot on Cook early second, I can't blame you. Mid second, sure. Late second, I'm all for it.
Yeah, definitely take it.
But if I'm drafting late in the draft, I'm probably not going to own any Dalvin Cook because I'm not willing to take him at the 1-2.
Nah, I'd rather have a guy like James Conner, for sure, over
or
him.
Julio Jones.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about his backup, Alexander Mattison. Alexander Madison.
The president
5'10",
of the Vikings.
5'10",
My
220.
name is Alexander
Can do it all. He's probably not going to have any type of role in this offense unless Dalvin Cook gets hurt.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he's just strictly a handcuff. I don't see him carving out any type of role. But
hold on. I'm seeing the future. I have a feeling that we're all going to be talking about Alexander Madison a little later
absolutely,
on.
yes.
All right, so let's go to tight end then before you get to that. Sorry to leave you hanging. Look at Michael wants to get it out so bad. Let's go to tight end, Kyle Rudolph. Look, I feel like he's the guy that we know what to expect out of him. We know what's coming from Kyle Rudolph. Signed an extension. That was a little surprising because they did draft Irv Smith. Kyle Rudolph, I mean, he's just like tight end 8. Lock it in. Tight end 8.
No.
Yeah.
Now I think he's a tight end 14.
Yeah, there's more tight end talent.
There's
these
more tight
days.
end talent. There's more run-heavy scheme.
He had
2 receivers on the outside that they're going to throw to. I don't want any part of Kyle Rudolph.
4 games last season in which he reached 50 receiving yards. Only 4. And he played a full season.
Yeah.
That's rough.
And now he's got Irv Smith, and they got all these weapons, and Dalvin Cook out of the backfield.
Yeah.
You're right.
Passing up on him.
Yeah, no way. So let's talk about the one injury away. I think we all have Alexander Mattison, right?
Yes.
I mean, who else is going to pick? Laquan Treadwell. So, Michael, you really wanted to talk about Madison. Go ahead, man.
I was just saying I don't really love Mattison as a player. He's a decent player. He has draft capital. Just that he is my favorite handcuff to own, period. Like, if you take Alexander Mattison in the 10th round, I won't blame you. Because Dalvin Cook is has a high injury risk, has only played 15 games in 2 seasons, and like Jason said, Gary Kubiak offenses are effective running the ball, and that's Alexander Madison's job and only Alexander Madison's job if Cook goes down.
Facts.
So he is my favorite handcuff by far.
I'm going to have to agree. I think that he's I'm trying to have him even if I don't have Dalvin Cook on my team. I like him.
Yeah, and then trade him to the Dalvin Cook owner for a Cha-Ching, too.
Oh, for Cha-Ching?
For Cha-Ching.
Who's Cha-Ching?
He's a new running back on the Saints.
Oh, nice. I hear he's money. That'll be all for us. You could find us all at Broto Fantasy on Twitter, Instagram, and all the rest of those social outlets and medias. Jason, where you going? You got plans or something?
You know,
Your
these
ears
things
are
hurt
sweaty?
your ears a little bit.
Well, tell them where to find you since you're in a rush to get
Jason
out of here.
Petrop. You know,
Michael?
Am
Mike _Petrop.
I a bitch for saying that? That sometimes you just got to take these off the ears?
Yeah, okay. You got a hot date or something? Get out of here.
I'll put them under. There you go.
You can find me on all social media outlets at Timpertrop, but only if you're feeling real frisky. Also, don't forget patreon.com/BrotoFantasy in order to
True that.
help the podcast out. We're trying to make this our jobs, people. We want to give you what it takes to win. So we'd like some money in exchange. Please. Thank you. Also, what else we got? We got youtube.com/BrotoFantasy, BrotoFantasy.com, of course, for everything, at BrotoFantasy on all social media outlets. Basically, type in Broto Fantasy on Google and see all the crap that pops up, and that's us.
Young Broto, baby.
Every single day, too, we're bringing you podcasts. Don't forget, every Wednesdays, we're coming out every Wednesday.
The day of weddings.
Right? We're coming out with...
The day of weddings, we vowed to bring you
but
content.
I don't remember the last time I went to a Wednesday wedding. I'm getting married on a Sunday, which is annoying, but...
Yeah,
that's
that
what it
is kind of annoying.
Well,
I had to take off work on Monday.
I know. Sorry, guys. Not sorry for bringing you content every day, so we'll see you tomorrow.
Word up.
Peace
Later.
out.